So I'm just going to demonstrate how to do the Kilpatrick drills. We are going to try a level G, which is the level that I think this student that we're recording this for should start at. I have this sheet I can share with the parents and tutors of how to take data on when you're doing this. There's two types of responses to these. When you say them, there's an automatic response, which would go in this column, which is within 2 seconds. And then there's a correct response, which is within 5 seconds. And obviously, if it's automatic, it will also be correct. So that's the part some people get a little mixed up with, but I will show how to keep the data on these as we do them. So Emma here is going to be my student today. So we're just going to demonstrate. Emma, can you say would?
Would.
Great. Now say would, but instead of w, say g.
Good.
Okay, that was an automatic response, so I'm putting a tick mark there. Okay, say fed.
Fed.
Now say fed, but instead of f, say r.
Red.
Very nice. Say sun.
Sun.
Now say sun, but instead of s, say f.
Fun.
Okay, that one was not quite automatic, but it was correct. It was within 5 seconds. All right, say tab.
Tab.
Now say tab, but instead of t, say k.
Tab.
Let's try that one again. Say tab, but instead of t, say k.
Cab.
There you go, cab, tab, cab. Nice. Okay, say load.
Load.
Now say load, but instead of l, say r.
Road.
Doing awesome. All right, say lime.
Lime.
Now say lime, but instead of l, say d.
Dime.
Yep. I counted that one as automatic. It was maybe on the line there. Okay, say rain.
Rain.
Now say rain, but instead of r, say ch.
Chain.
That one was within about 3 seconds, so I'll put it in correct. Say came.
Came.
Now say came, but instead of k, say g.
Game.
Yeah. That one incorrect. Say box.
Box.
Now say box, but instead of b, say f.
Fox.
That one was correct. Awesome job. Okay, last one. Say mix.
Mix.
Now say mix, but instead of say s.
Six.
That one would be 6. Very good. Okay, so Emma got 5 of these automatic, so her score for automatic would be 5 out of 10. She got 5 correct in addition to the 5 automatic, so her score for correct would be 10 out of 10. Nice job, Emma. So we're going to try another one that's going to be harder. So obviously you wouldn't skip around like this with a student, but I just kind of want to demonstrate what a harder level might look like, and then maybe some error correction techniques as well. So we're going to try M1 number 1. Let's write that in here. With your students, though, if they get 50% automatic, they're still going to stay in level G. You're just going to go to the next activity. If you get to 9 out of 10 automatic, that's when you consider, they've done that a couple times in a row, you want to move them up to the next higher level. Sometimes they will run out of all the activities that are available, and then you'll just have to decide whether you think they should move up to the next level or maybe repeat starting with number 1. Usually I just kind of move them up to the next level, but it incorporates some review because there's mixed up levels where there's a bunch of different stuff happening. Actually, I think instead of M1, I do want to demonstrate a mixed level because those are kind of tricky, which means that it's not all going to be the same thing like that one was. It was always kind of the same thing you were doing, right? This one is going to be a bunch of different stuff that happens, basically. So we're going to try the one on page 223. This is how I denote what activity those are. For keeping track of what you've already done. Now, if you only have one student or, if this is your own kid you're working with, you can, of course, keep track of all this stuff right on the pages with the drills on them. You don't have to have a whole tracking sheet system, but it kind of makes the data clear to see, so that's nice too. Okay, Emma, let's try this. Say limp.
lip,
Sorry, say limp.
limp,
There you go. Now say limp, but don't say mm.
lip,
Yeah, that would be lip. So limp without mm is lip. Nice job. Say luck.
luck,
Now say luck, but instead of say ah.
luck,
Ooh, you're super close. I almost heard it. So if you say luck, but instead of say ah, you would get lock. Luck, lock. And so when we're doing a mixed one and they sometimes I give them another try, just like, oh, we'll try that again, like I did with the G one, if they miss one. But sometimes I do it this way. Usually I try to give them another try or just like a little pause at the end to see if they can give me the answer as I'm saying it back. And then I might still count it correct, but not automatic in that case. When they miss one on the mixed up level drill, what I do is write the activity letter of what that came from over here so that I know sort of what might need to be reviewed too. All right, so that one was a J. We're gonna write J over here. All right, let's try another one. Say lest.
lest,
Now say lest, but don't say s.
let,
Yep, that one is let. Very good. Say scream.
scream,
Now say scream, but don't say r.
theme,
You're very close. So scream without r would be,
scheme,
yeah, scheme. See, that's how I do the pause thing. Yeah, that one, and then I would count it correct because I gave her another try at it. Okay, say skimp.
skimp,
Now say skimp, but don't say mm.
skip,
Yeah, that one would be skip. Okay, say swarm.
swarm,
Now say swarm, but instead of w, say t.
swarm,
If you say swarm, but instead of w, say t, you get storm.
storm,
Yeah, swarm, storm. Okay, so that one was a K2, so I would just like put comma and write K2. And I'm not going to do this whole one. There's 10 of them, obviously, but you get the idea of how that would work. And then we would total it up at the end. Oh, I kept my tick marks in a different spot, didn't I? When I do it on the paper, I usually do it backwards of how I did the first one. I keep the tick marks here and then I write it over here, but either way works. So in this case, it would, assuming that, let's say you got a couple more of those automatic and a couple more correct, it might look something like this. And then you would say it was 3 out of 10 or 30%, you could say automatic, and then you could say 5 out of 10 or 50% correct. So that's another way you can kind of keep track of them. I think that's everything. Basically, the drills go in order of complexity. So once you get to like the one we were just doing had some M1s in there, the highest level really you need to go to is M2. So that's kind of the last level. There is an N in here. You can ignore N because that's really just to challenge people who maybe are in a classroom with other kids and they are already really good at these. This is like the challenge level for them. Oh, and there's also some multi-syllable drills in here too. I would definitely say try those, but don't necessarily keep your student from moving on if they can't do the multi-syllable words. Like, for example, the G1 would be say wager, but instead of j, say t, and then they have to give you waiter. Those are like super hard. So you could come back to those later after you've kind of gone through other harder drills. All right, Emma, thank you so much for your time.